Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I wanted to talk about everyone is you pushed out and reference some Neville texts that I feel like will help you internalize this concept deeper, because I know that's what it did for me. I felt like after reading this, I'm just like, wait, this makes so much sense, because I'm someone who likes researching about the brain, science, like factual evidence, right? Even though a lot of times manifestation isn't logical, or even if it is, I just don't feel like our conscious mind has enough information or knowledge at all times to figure out how things work. There's certain things that are beyond our comprehension, right? Even think about it, we only know what 5% of what's in the ocean. We only know we barely know what's out there in the universe, right? We might not have the technology to do so now, so therefore these things are beyond our comprehension. That's kind of the same thing with your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind is taking everything in. Your subconscious mind is like a supercomputer, and your logical mind is all about programming that supercomputer via the instructions you give it, aka the thoughts that you feed it, right? So but anyways, I don't want to ramble. I feel like there's always I'm always trying to read something to you, and then I end up just kind of going all over the place. So I'm gonna try not to do that. I'm gonna try not to do that and just get straight into the video. So I wanted to talk about this paragraph right here. Your consciousness is the light reflected on the mirror of your mind and projected in space to the one of whom you think. So that's why, let me just finish reading this. By mentally speaking to the subjective image in your mind, you cause the mirror of your mind to vibrate. Your vibrating mind modifies the light of consciousness reflected on it. The modified light of the consciousness reaches the one toward whom it's directed and impinges on the mirror of his mind. It causes his mind to vibrate according to the modification it undergoes. Thus, it reproduces in him what was mentally affirmed by you. You guys, this is what I mean when I say if you are trying to manifest a specific person, right? All you have to do is change the way that you perceive them, change the way that you see them, change, your beliefs and thoughts about them. Because let's read this again. Your consciousness is the light reflected on the mirror of your mind and projected in space to the one of whom you think, your SP or your desire, or whatever it is that you're trying to manifest, okay? Technically, nothing's outside of us. Everything's within us. By mentally speaking to the subjective image in your mind, you cause the mirror of your mind to vibrate. So even if you think about it, your specific person, your desires, the universe, everything is literally exactly this. It is the subjective image in your mind, okay, that you cause the mirror of your mind to vibrate. It's all subjective. It's all what our mind is projecting. I recently got that Apple Vision Pro, and I don't know why this sort of blew my mind. So in the Apple Vision Pro, it has really good tracking, right? Wherever you move your eyes, you have to pinch your fingers to select that, by moving your eyes, right? So the way to navigate to different web pages, apps, is by just looking at the app you want to go to, and then pinching your fingers. But the thing is, you're not actually looking at the app. You're not actually even looking at the screen. There's cameras that are looking at your eyes, that are tracking your eye movement and being refracted onto the screen. Okay, that's literally how our mind works as well. It's crazy because a lot of technology is it's a manifestation of our mind, right? But it's also descriptive. It's a metaphor for how our mind works. A lot of you could have heard this analogy. I know I've talked about it on my page a couple times, on my channel a couple times, that the universe is an algorithm, right? Whatever you feed it the most, whatever you think about the most, is what you are going to receive. That's what's going to be projected out into the universe, right? So that's definitely something that is important to note. Okay, at the end of the day, your subconscious mind has no choice but to reflect what you're thinking and what you're feeding it. Okay, just like Sammy Ingram said, your subconscious mind is a proof-producing machine. So whatever you're thinking about your SP, right? Have this mental image of them in your mind, or your specific desire, or your boss, or whatever, romantic SP, platonic SP. Talk to them in your mind. Talk to them in your mind. Be like, yeah, you're contacting me right now. Or if you don't want to do that, I'm always being contacted. I always receive love, attention, affection. I'm always spoiled in romance. Maybe think of them like as you say these self-concept affirmations, right? Because at the end of the day, it's about the subjective image in your mind and the mirror of your mind, that's vibrating, right? So your vibrating mind modifies the light of consciousness reflected on it. The modified light of consciousness reaches the one toward whom it is directed and impinges on the mirror of his mind. It causes his mind to vibrate according to the modification it undergoes. But if you think about it, they are just you, right? So it's like you are revising things, revising the way that your SP is recreating them by just talking to your mind, talking to yourself. Okay, it reproduces in him what was mentally affirmed by you. So that's why you don't really need to take any action in the 3D. You just need to think different thoughts. And this is why, obviously, this is not new information for a lot of you that have been into this. You've been, studying this for a while. But this paragraph really, really, made things click for me. And I was just like, oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Because I would always hear things like, yeah, speak to your SP in your mind. They're you pushed out. They're just a projection of your mind. They have to conform to what you say. They don't have free will. And this is why. This paragraph explains why they don't have free will, because they're just a mirror in your mind. Okay, everyone is just a mirror in your mind, and based off what you're feeding it, based off what you're thinking about and doing, thinking about the most and doing, they have no choice but to reflect that, because they're quite literally in your mind. That's why you have to stop thinking from the perspective of they have free will, they have their own set of beliefs, this, that. No, they think what you think. Okay, I would always hear that, oh, they think what you think, but no one ever really explained why. I mean, I do feel like people have explained why, but Neville explains this perfectly, okay? Let's read what's around this, because I found the rest of the text to be very interesting as well, okay? I am the light of the world. I hope you guys can see this, by the way. There's sunlight glaring. Wow, speaking of light, right? I am the light of the world. I am the knowledge that I exist is a light by means of which is a light by means of which was what passes in my mind is rendered visible. Memory, or my ability to mentally see what is objectively present, proves that my mind is a mirror. So sensitive, a mirror that it can reflect a thought. Okay? The perception of an image in memory in no way differs as a visual act from the perception of my image in a mirror. The same principle of seeing is involved in both. Okay, so I feel like this text, the way it's written, it can sound a little bit complicated, but what it's just saying is that, again, whatever you think about has to manifest, okay? Your ability to mentally see what's objectively present proves that your mind is a mirror so sensitive, a mirror that it can reflect a thought, okay? That's why thoughts are reflected through other people. That's why reality itself is a mirror, okay? It's just reflecting what's in your mind, because it is in your mind. Even if you think about it a physical mirror, reality, all of that, it's just projections of your mind. There's people in countries that don't even know what a mirror is, by the way, and again, that's also something in our mind. There's some people who may only see their reflection in water, or not the mirrors that we have, the fancy embroidered mirrors we have, right? I don't know why I felt like saying that, but my point is that's why it's really up to you. It's a lot of it is subjective, right? A lot of the world. Okay, let me backtrack. Sorry, my mind is all over the place. But my point is no two people will ever experience life the same way. Okay, because everything's subjective, and everything's based on what they're experiencing. Their experiences, their past experiences, right? So the thing is, the thoughts you think really do determine the quality of life you have. And it's all a matter of trying to control your thoughts. Actually, I say it's not so much about controlling your thoughts, it's about not letting your thoughts control you, but also simultaneously controlling your thoughts. It's why not both, right? So that's why, and I preach this on my channel a lot, robotic affirming. Even if you listen to, affirmation tapes all day, that's going to prevent you from spiraling, from wavering. You want the quickest way to not waver, right? Or sorry, you want a foolproof way to not waver. Just listen to an affirmation tape, maybe in your own voice if you want. Use the Parrot app that helps you loop your affirmations, and robotically affirm. Saturate your mind as much as possible, okay? All of these things really do help, and they really do go a long way. So, keep doing them. Keep doing them as much as possible. Try to think positive thoughts. I know, for some of you guys, you may be very triggered with your by what your SP is doing. You might get angry, you might get upset, this, that, right? And I've been there, so I understand that. But the best way to not feel that way is to just, even for one day, just for 24 hours, stop checking their socials. This is advice that I give to my clients. Some clients would come to me like, crying and being like, oh my gosh, I can't, like, I'm so triggered by what my SP is doing. They're following all these new people, blah, blah, blah. I tell them, okay, so you're very used to checking their page, like it's some sort of, like routine, right? So to break out of that habit, just for 24 hours, just for one day, don't check their page, then maybe check. Then try to go 2 days, then 3 days. It's all about building habits. Even like for a lot of you, like, if you're not used to thinking positively because you've been programmed to think a certain way, right? Change could happen overnight. It definitely could. But for a lot of us, right, because we are very logical minded, the way to like sort of get over it is to think like, positive thoughts incrementally, right? Like change is sometimes very incremental. Today, think one positive thought. Tomorrow think 2 positive thoughts, 3, 4, 5. It will build up. Okay, like just you have to be on that momentum of positivity, positive self-talk, thinking in your favor. Okay, and when I say positive, I mean like seeing your desires in a positive light, not putting them on a pedestal, right? So and it gets easier. Like the more you practice it, the easier it gets. Okay, that's why I would say manifestation is a skill. It's a skill that you need to practice, okay, until you can truly master it. Some things we master immediately, okay? Some things, like, I know there's definitely certain things that I didn't have to try too hard or even practice a lot, and I got it. I got it, like, within a day or two, right? Some other things I needed a lot of practice. With manifestation, it's like, your mind is a muscle, right? Like just like any other muscle, you go to the gym to work it out. You need to like, do the same thing with your mind. Think positive thoughts. Our brains are electric in nature. The more you think certain thoughts, it emits a certain charge, right? So every single day, like, you got to flex that muscle. You got to exercise that muscle. And even in the gym, like no one just like goes in and, starts picking up like 100-pound weights, right? They get there incrementally. They'll start off with 2 pounds, then 5 pounds, 10, 15, right? Even like with running the mile, like, if it's been a while since you ran, if you ran a mile right now, you'd probably like get super tired or maybe even like faint. I know, like when I just go into things like, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like this is too much energy exertion, right? So I would start off like slow, right? Like maybe instead of running a mile, I'd run like 1/4 of a mile, then increase that to like half a mile, right? Like even those who run marathons, they didn't just wake up one day and say like, I'm gonna run an entire marathon right now. Okay, it takes practice, right? Like that's the same thing with manifestation. And it doesn't have to take a long time. I'm giving you these examples, but I also want you to know that you can be limitless. But in order to be limitless, that's yet another thing that, like, if you don't feel like you're limitless right now, just tell yourself, I'm limitless. I believe in my power. I'm so powerful. It's so easy for me to manifest. Relationships have always been easy for me to manifest. I've always manifested specific people to like me. I'm so used to experiencing mutual, reciprocated, healthy love, right? If that hasn't been the case in the past, you need to keep telling yourself that until that reflects in your 3D, and people will change. I've heard of like, people with their SPs, their SPs saying the worst thing to them. Oh, I don't see being with you. I don't really see you as like, like committed partner, material, wife, husband, whatever. I don't see you as this, that. I don't think we're ever going to work out, just for them to come back and try again. Even for me, like before I even knew about manifestation, in the past I had like multiple, like I had this one SP that's just, that didn't want to like give our relationship a second chance, because he was just like, oh, it never works out a second time. And not only did he come back a second time, he came back a third time too. So I mean, yeah, at the end of the day, you guys, like, stop taking things like so seriously. Stop taking things as the end goal. Okay, just because they said this at one point doesn't mean they're always going to say that. They're always going to think from that perspective. People can and do change their minds all the time, but also their mind is your mind. Like the thing is, like, they are you pushed out. That's, the premise of this entire video, manifestation, and everyone is you pushed out. Stop giving them free will. Stop thinking that, like, they don't, they want someone else. They're choosing someone else over you. Circumstance this, circumstance that. They will move mountains for you if you can move mountains for yourself. If you can tell yourself that I'm worth moving mountains for. If you can move the mountain in your brain, which is, like limiting beliefs, and again, it takes a little bit of practice. Just every single day, as much as you can, affirm, 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 affirm. You don't need to believe in it, okay? At the end of the day, it's about your subconscious mind internalizing it. Even if you never consciously believe in something, as long as your subconscious mind internalizes it, that's what gets reflected out into your reality. And this is the point that I make every video, and I'm probably going to be like talking about this in every video, because some people get so confused about like what is feeling. So sometimes you will feel things and they don't end up happening. Sometimes you won't even feel things and they end up happening. You'll get blindsided. You're just like, what? So again, it's what's in our subconscious mind. That's why, like, you never truly have to feel anything consciously. It's, does your subconscious mind feel it? And you can consciously create and modify the unconscious mind, okay? Like, that's like literally what manifestation is about, consciously creating the unconscious, okay? So yeah, anyways, I will end the manifestation advice video here. I do want to let you know there's a self-concept challenge going on my Patreon. We also have a signs challenge going on where we get together and look for signs, okay? Which will help expedite your manifestations, okay? We're using the collective power of the group. And again, it's your belief in it that's really going to help. And even if you don't believe in something, you can tell yourself you believe in it, right? So, if you want to be part of a like-minded group that wants the same things, do check that out in the description box below, patreon.com/enchanted444. I also offer in-depth tarot readings, as well as manifestation coaching, and also custom ink subliminal. So if you're interested in any of these services, check out the description box below, where you will find my website. You can sign up for those services through my website. And yeah, thank you so much. Love and light.